Throwing putters off the tee is a skill that most pros have dialed in, but most AMs seem to neglect. These are our 5 tips to throw better tee shots with your putters to keep you closer to the basket. When choosing your putter for off the tee, it's best to choose one that's more stable compared to one that you would use around the basket. That's because putters are flying a lot faster off the tee, and so they need to be more stable to resist turning over. A putter that flies straight for a 20-foot putt is going to fly a lot less straight if it's thrown off the tee. One way that a lot of players do this is they get their driving putter in a premium plastic. Not only does this let the putter hold its stability a lot longer, but generally the premium plastics start out a little bit more overstable. So personally, I use a classic blend Warden around the basket, and I use a premium plastic Warden off the tee. And that's because even when I hit trees and stuff like that, it's not going to beat in as quickly because it's going to be hitting trees a lot harder compared to how hard my putter usually hits the chains. I talked about in my video on nose down that for a driver to fly optimally, it should be level to the trajectory it's flying on. And to do that, I demonstrated a grip that really gets the disc nose down and can add a lot of distance. But for putters, that's not necessarily a good idea. See, drivers have this wing shape that decides how much air goes over or underneath, but putters have a much more rounded edge. And so how much air goes over or under the putter is kind of dictated by the angle that it's flying on. So if a putter is too nose down, it's not going to get enough air underneath it. And not only is it going to turn over, it's not going to go nearly as far. Some people can correct for this by just knowing that they're throwing a putter, they'll throw it a little bit more nose up. But personally, the easiest way that I've found to correct this is by changing my grip. So for drivers, I use a power grip with all of my fingers curled underneath the rim. But for putters, I use a control grip. That's where I curl my pointer finger and my pinky finger underneath the disc, and then I spread the other 2 fingers out on the rim. And that lets me tilt the disc a little bit back so I can use the same form, the same throwing motion that I'm used to, but the disc is going to fly a little bit more nose up, and it's going to give me a lot more control and a consistent flight. Because of the shape of putters, they tend to be a lot touchier than drivers. Drivers, generally, you can throw them on as much anhyzer with as much wobble as you want, and because they have that wide rim, they'll fight out and they'll generally get down the fairway one way or another. But a putter requires a clean throw. That's why a lot of people suggest learning how to throw a putter if you're struggling with getting a clean release out of your drivers. One of the ways to help get a clean release with a putter is to try and spin the disc more. Anything that's spinning has what's called gyroscopic stability, which means the faster that it spins, the more it resists a change in its angle. So if you're struggling with your putters flipping over, try focusing on giving them some more spin, whether that's pinching your grip a little bit more or focusing on keeping your hand on the outside. If your disc is wobbling at all, the spin is going to help to stabilize that a lot quicker and help you get that more consistent flight. Putters are the most neutral flying disc out there. And just like the faster discs, a hyzer will always be more consistent. Here's an example. This is a putter that I threw on a little bit of a hyzer, and it held the angle the whole time, but it flew mostly straight and just finished left at the end. Compared to an anhyzer, it swoops really far from left to right, and that can be a lot less predictable. It can be tempting to try and throw putters perfectly flat to try and get that straight flight, but if you miss on a little bit of anhyzer, that ends up being a lot more punishing than missing on a little bit of a hyzer. So if you're trying to throw a straight shot with a putter, a little bit of a hyzer release is usually going to be your best bet, and you can just play for that slight left finish at the very end. Putters are easily the hardest disc to throw well with power, so if you're struggling, I encourage you to go out and practice. Getting to know your putter and trusting yourself to execute any shot that you need to is going to make you a lot more accurate with your upshots or drives off the tee. You're not going to fear the straight shot anymore because you've got your driving putter. Those are our 5 tips to improve your driving with a putter. Let us know if you have any that you'd like to add down in the comments, and let us know any other ideas you have for beginner's guide videos. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe for more content on how to become a better disc golfer.